Welcome everybody to our Legend of Zelda Battle Series, where we are going through all 19 canon games and reviewing each of them out of 10 categories that we think best make up a Zelda game. And today, we are reviewing A Link Between Worlds. Last time, after finishing our review with The Legend of Zelda, we picked out A Link Between Worlds. So, today's the day to find out whether or not this is a good Zelda title.
Let's find out.
Predictions?
Because when we were doing our initial ranking, I was a bit iffy because I couldn't remember this game too well.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I replayed it, I'm pretty solid on where I stand with this game.
Same here.
Where do you guys think it's going to fit with our Legend of Zelda that got an 80 and then the Minish Cap that got a 49 out of 100?
I think it'll be a slightly better than Minish Cap, but definitely under the first game for sure.
I agree that's where it deserves to be, but I guess we'll find out.
Let's find out.
Yeah.
Alright, so first category, story. So, A Link Between Worlds is set kind of in the world that A Link to the Past was, and there's a new hero, a new Zelda, and I guess the the beginning isn't as cool as A Link to the Past. You are just kind of a delivery boy in a way, and then after delivering the sword to the captain, you run into the main villain Yuga at the sanctuary, and just I guess have to be brave and face him one-on-one, but then he takes you down, kind of. But anyways, then just kind of the standard Zelda stuff happens. You learn about the sages and the Triforce, and gotta go collect the 3 pendants, save the 7 sages. But then, you get introduced into this alternative world, Lorule. So it's a little different than the Dark World in A Link to the Past. And basically, the reason why their world is all messed up is because
they destroyed the Triforce.
They destroyed their Triforce, which is kind of cool. Like, they wanted to basically end their cycle of the hero, the maiden, and, the villain by destroying it, but ended up causing chaos. And in the end, when you get your Triforce of Courage, earn it, you face the main villain and take him down, and then you and Zelda make a wish to restore the Triforce for Lorule, which returns their land back to normal. So, I mean, it's a more fleshed out story, I think, than the Minish Cap in the first Zelda game.
Because, when we're looking at, the bad guy's motivations, it makes sense that this princess from the Lorule would want to try to save her kingdom.
Right.
That's her main priority. Even if she does shady stuff to get there, she's still trying to have her kingdom's best interest in mind.
Right. She's basically tricking you to save all 7 sages so that you collect your piece of Triforce so that she can steal it and then steal the Triforce of Curse. So it's actually pretty cool, I think, story. It's not like the most complicated story, most complex, but I think it works. So our scores, 8.
8.
All right, 3 8s.
Probably the best story so far.
Yeah, so far.
Makes you think about the characters a bit more, probably, than other stories.
Alright, so now moving on to the overworld in the game. So like I said earlier, it returns to the land that A Link to the Past brought us to, which I love the overworld in A Link to the Past. And then it also, introduces Lorule to us, which is similar to the Dark World, except how it works is a little bit different. Like, entering Lorule, you have to merge yourself into a wall and go into a crack, and then find your way into Lorule through those means. But I mean,
Do
I'm not
you
gonna
like it like that, or do you think finding cracks and going through them is a little bit more annoying than in Link to the Past?
It is a
You're
little
in
less...
the dark world, and then you use the mirror, and then you can go back
you
to
have
that.
to like
You have to
actually
find
think
one,
about
and
the
then
world
I'm like,
itself.
No, right. I think it's less convenient. Like I'm not saying that's a great mechanic. I'm just saying that's how you enter Lorule, and that's how it connects Lorule and Hyrule. But other than that, like it's fairly similar to A Link to the Past world. So I honestly would have preferred that they went with a new world instead of needing to redo A Link to the Past world.
Reuse.
Reuse it. But I wouldn't say I want to complain about too much. I don't like how the Lorule is segmented. So it's not. I don't even know if you can go from one segment of Lorule to another. It's kind of like you have to find the crack in the Hyrule in order to gain access to that part of Lorule, which I guess part of the story does explain why that is, how it's like all cracked, but I don't know. I definitely prefer
being able to freely travel.
Right.
Yeah.
But other than that, I love the look of it. Just, I don't know, kind of like a little, I don't know how to describe it. I like the way it looks. It's just sometimes traveling it is a little inconvenient. So
they could have done more with the wall merging.
Right. All right. Let's give our scores. 7,
5.
4.
It was okay. I wouldn't say it's the best, in my opinion.
All right. Now moving on to our next category, which is going to be dungeons. So there are 4. Would you say 4 dungeons in Hyrule if you count Hyrule Castle? I don't know if you count Hyrule Castle or not. It's less of a dungeon than Hyrule Castle and A Link to the Past, honestly. So maybe we can just say 3 dungeons in Hyrule and then 8 dungeons in Lorule. So the 7 dungeons plus Lorule Castle. Which Lorule Castle is more fleshed out than Hyrule Castle. But anyways.
You can get infinite money in that dungeon.
Right. So with these dungeons, I will say it's some of like the easiest dungeons in the series. They just give you the map straight up.
Yeah, that's dumb.
They give you the map.
That's
You
so
don't have
dumb.
to go and find it. So it makes it so you're kind of like going through rooms. It's almost like making it so it's like a checkbox of rooms to check versus exploring and getting lost in the dungeons.
It's really, I feel like there are no secrets anymore. You're not discovering a dungeon. You're just.
I mean, there are some secrets.
No, not when you have the map.
Yeah, but
like technically the puzzles. Are what stop you from getting there, but you still there's no you can't miss anything.
Right, I understand what you're saying, but I think that the hardest dungeon is probably the Ice Palace, just because, which I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it's probably the most Zelda I guess you could put it up there with some of the best dungeons. It's just kind of like you manipulate the layout of the dungeon as you go, and then it's just more difficult with the ice and whatnot. But I don't know, there's just not like that many, you could say, iconic dungeons in this game. It's just kind of
I hated the water one.
And then the rewards from them, you no longer get dungeon
Upgraded
items.
Master Sword piece. Or a blue tunic, or the Hylian shield.
I mean, you get a shield and tunics in other dungeons and other games.
I think, people would rather
to the
have...
Past, specifically.
Yeah, because it's a remake of it.
People
I'm thinking of
would,
other games.
people would
Like
rather
Zelda.
have
No.
just like find a cool item and use it right away instead
Right.
of the promise that
Or
you can
get
use
like
this
the
later.
hook shot in in a dungeon, or a boomerang or something in a dungeon. Not rent it and you get all the items if you
Right.
grind enough.
And then you will always know what you need for the dungeon. So
Yeah,
you're
it's
never going to be
labeled,
too stuck
hey, you
on
need
a
this
puzzle.
item.
But we'll get to puzzles. I will say, like, the water one just bothers me so much because it's like the swimming made it like everything was just trying to like drag on for as long as possible, and on top of the water being slow, you have to pull the different water levels. And then like pulling is slow, changing the animation. The changing animation is slow.
Right. There's
It
a lot
like was just so slow for no reason.
Right. All right. I'll give it a 5.
4.
All right. On to the next category. This one we kind of disagree on a little bit. It's going to be combat and controls. So in my opinion, I think that it is fast-paced, hack and slash. Just really, it just feels good to run around and be able to destroy everything with your sword. And then I did play on hero mode, so I did have to be more careful with my placement, I guess, my maneuvering around enemies, because with like the knights and whatnot, they have their swords, so you kind of have to, avoid getting hit by their swords, come around them, and they kind of adapt to where you're at a little bit. I don't know, I just think it's...
A lot of them were just kind of throwaway enemies, though. A lot of them, like, you say fast, hack and slash, but it's almost like just little guys that you just kind of stand there. Okay, that's good. And then Gibdo, it has a lot of health. That means you just have to stand there while it's stunned.
Yeah, the Ocarina
Longer.
of Time made it so they yell and then they can grab you, but you need to be careful in a sense. But this, it's like slash, 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 slash. Oh, it's dead. Oh, it's...
Well, I guess, I don't know. I guess for me, I just prefer, like, being able to beat the crap out of
Hit stun enemies.
versus,
Cool.
like, targeting them and waiting. Alright, so in my opinion, I just prefer, like, even if the enemies aren't as complicated to fight with, I just still feel like the combat system...
But what is just slash your sword? They didn't.
Well, it's more than
introduce
just that.
anything
You have
new.
a bunch of weapons and whatnot that you
So
can use.
same in the other game, but not as well used.
I don't know. I do think that this
It's just
combat
slashing.
system is
They
superior.
didn't even do anything with wall merging. Like they could have had
Yeah,
painting
they-
enemies. That would have been
Besides
interesting.
the
Like
final
a
boss.
like have a different combat system on top of the 3D. Have a 2D as well. The combat is not that good in it.
I don't know. I just think, well, it's smooth because it's the
It's
only
not
Zelda
smooth, though.
game
Yeah,
that's
it's-
60 FPS, but it's just smooth hack and slash.
What are you talking about?
I just prefer that over having to sit there, Z target, wait, attack.
But we're talking about
wait.
other 2D
Yeah.
Zelda games.
When I compare,
Because this is basically like 2D just with a 3D
yeah, it's
model.
a 2D Zelda game.
It's
So
still.
are you comparing 3D games
yeah,
to a 2D
don't talk
game?
about the 3D
Alright,
games.
fine. When I compare this to like the Minish Cap just feels slow, sluggish.
It's not that slow.
Yeah.
Especially when you get the upgrades,
I
which
don't
you
know.
never got.
No, I'm talking about just the movement. Even I feel
You
way
can
fast
roll
moving.
around. And
Yeah.
Right.
running felt a lot better
You
in
can
Minish Cap with the boots versus having to. There's like such a slow startup with Link Between Worlds.
Not only that, but you get extra slots to place your items in
That
this
is,
game.
well, yeah,
That's a fair point.
it's a little
versus
bit
Minish Cap.
better, but we're not on items yet. But I will say the
No,
combat,
the controls.
The combat.
That's also the controls.
Oh, I didn't. The shield was a weird
yeah, it's your
addition. They
I
could
mean,
have
it's
done
just-
something else.
It's what they're gonna do with the Link's Awakening remake. Just have it like be not. It's not a passive item, but like an ability that you press to use your shield. But alright. So I'm gonna give combat and controls an 8 out of 10.
Alright.
3.
It's just they didn't do anything new. They kind of made it worse.
I definitely disagree. Alright, see, what's funny is that you guys are gonna give this a 3, and then when we go to Triforce Heroes, you're gonna give it like an 8 or a 9 or something like that. It's like the same thing.
No.
You don't think? Alright, I guess we'll
the
find out.
combat. I feel like it would be just slightly better.
Yeah, because
But, like,
it's multiplayer.
It's multiplayer. It makes it more
could be
interesting.
That's not a
But-
reason
but
why
I
it
mean
sounds
more,
better. It's just
so-
having multiplayer.
Well, I would say that, but like combat having like
The
multiple,
three
three
enemies.
different pillars. That you
Yeah.
have to think about like how tall you are. That's adding something interesting.
I mean, but then
That's something
there's
new.
still more
Not the
items
exact
for
same
combat
thing.
in. Alright, whatever. Alright. So, alright, on to the next category. Items. So in this game, how you get items is different than any other Zelda game in the series. You have to rent each of the items that you get. Well, not all of them, but a lot of the more main line Zelda items. So like your bombs, your arrows, the hook shot, your boomerang. And then there's a couple new items, sort of.
I
The
think
sand rod
two.
was in, I think, Spirit Tracks or Phantom Hourglass. I don't remember, but Tornado Rod is like the one new item that I can think of that you can rent at the store. I don't know if there's anything else. Is there?
Nope.
That's brand new. No. So it just kind of provides series staples items, kind of like, I don't know, the Minish Cap. Except I still think that it brings
The
in a
Minish
few
Cap.
more. It brings in a few more items that you've seen in previous games, like the Fire Rod and the Ice Rod and the Hammer.
It's
So
it's pretty much all of Link to the Past plus
Less. No, it's
less,
just less.
less, and the two it introduces. They're okay. The sand rod is kind of cool, but you can only use it on sand. But that's not necessarily a bad thing.
It's used for, puzzles and navigation. Unfortunately, you can only use it where there is sand, and there's only one portion of the map that there is sand. But I mean, there's still other things like solving and maneuvering with items, like using the tornado rod to go up.
But how many times do you use it besides in dungeons?
I don't think there's
there-
any other use
Yeah.
for it besides the one dungeon.
When you
pretty
go
much.
into the Death Mountain of Lowrule, when you're making your way up towards the Ice Palace,
Yeah, but
there's a part where you can use the tornado rod to like fly up to get to the next platform above. So it's kind of like a sort of a puzzle in a way. You have to realize, oh, I need to use the tornado rod here to maneuver my way up.
so you use it
mountain.
once basically.
I mean,
One section in a dungeon that uses it.
then again, like, you can't say that there's a bunch of items in other games that you use all the time.
Yeah, but you can get this item right away. The
It's
main
a-
complaint about this is I don't like to get every single item right away because you can just grind to buy all the items and you have to never visit there again because it's like, oh, okay.
Well, you can't buy the items until after you complete the dungeons in Hyrule. Well, actually, once you enter Lowrule. After you enter Lowrule, then you can start buying them so that you don't have to rent them again, because whenever you die, you lose your items, so then it brings more of a purpose to rupees, which seems to be an issue with some Zelda games where it's just like,
But I feel
Your
like
wallet's
Zelda
always
1
full.
at least
Yeah, Zelda 1
did
had
well
like, the
just
best.
because there's difficulty there, so they made potions and like getting arrows, which was obviously just rupees.
but this game
But,
provides a wider array of items than the
It
first
doesn't
game.
provide what? Well,
I don't know how you can say
about
that
the same.
than the first Zelda game.
Yeah, about
Yeah.
the same.
And so how recent this one is, and they didn't add more items.
Okay, alright, let's take a second here. So you're saying bombs, arrows, boomerang, magic rod.
We're all and that's what they're.
That's Zelda 1's items.
That's also
Magical boomerang.
That's also
Okay.
Okay,
then
We're
you
just
have
talking about
the wand with
basics.
fire.
Right. Well, then you can talk about all the upgrades for all the items in. Link
But it's
Between
not an
Worlds.
upgrade.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's a book. There's a difference.
No. You said magical boomerang.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's
That you find in the
upgrades,
dungeon.
right? But there's upgrades for your items in this game as well.
I mean, let's not talk about upgrades. It's more like there's just not. They could have done a lot more.
Right,
items,
but it's
they
still
did
cool
not.
that they gave you the option to literally upgrade your items that you got
Okay,
before.
well, I just said we're not talking about upgrades. I'm talking about how they didn't introduce anything more.
Well, I mean,
Anything new.
I understand that it doesn't
Anything
introduce
more
much
interesting.
more. I'm also saying neither did the Minish Cap.
Cane of Pickery. I mean, Rockscape was in the other Oracle
Yeah.
games, but at least it was more.
It was
I mean,
different.
It was a bit different in
Not
here.
really.
And then
So it can
there's
fly? Or
Yes.
jump?
Yeah, you can
Yes, you
fly
can fly.
in Oracle.
And then you got your mole mitts. You got the gust
Cool.
jar.
Molemit's another way to.
That doesn't
Search
matter.
for
At least it
advances.
made the world like you could interact with the world more. There was nothing really to interact with the world.
The Sandrod.
Wow, I haven't
That was
touched it yet.
one.
All
That's
right.
one instance.
Whatever.
Whereas
Yeah.
there's more instances with Minish Cap.
I just don't.
Or even
I-
Zelda
when I
1
look
where you
at-
can burn bushes.
When I look at my menu of
Yeah.
items in this game versus the Minish Cap, when I look at the one in the items in the Minish Cap, I'm just like, wow, there's not really that many fun looking items in this game versus this one. I
What?
guess. I don't know. I just
I
think
don't know what items are fun in this
What
one.
fun are you talking about?
I'm saying that there's like using the hook shot to get yourself across, gaps of space or ripping the shield off an enemy. I enjoy fighting, using the items. I'll talk more about the items. I enjoy using the items in this game more than the other two games, but that we've reviewed so far. But I understand you guys have your own opinion. So let's go ahead and give our scores. I give this one a 7.
3.
4. Let's see, where are we next?
Puzzles.
Puzzles.
Alright, so our next category is going to be puzzles. So in this game, trying to think.
Wall merging is
Wall-
huge for puzzles.
Right.
I enjoy the wall merging.
Yeah,
for
enjoy
sure.
wall merging with puzzles, not transporting me to the other dimension or whatever it's called. World. Yeah.
Right.
That was dumb, but the puzzles were pretty good for wall merging.
Yeah. Otherwise, they're only okay.
Well, I mean, there's like in the dark world dungeon, you have to realize when you hit the switch, it spins the walls, and then you need to realize, I gotta place a bomb next to the switch, since you have to have like a delayed.
And then you get
Hit.
Uh,
stuck in the wall.
You haven't seen that video yet, man.
No,
but it's
I haven't. But
Yep.
I mean, you flip. There's good little. I mean,
I'm not saying the puzzles are bad, but
Yeah,
there
I'm
was
not
this
saying
one
they're not.
that was a little weird.
Which one?
The one with the dark forest
Oh, yeah.
puzzle where, for some reason, the puzzle was you go a little bit further than the door, press a button, and then go back a little bit. And
Oh
then
my
the door's
gosh.
open, and then you can go through. That's not all of them. I'm just saying
That's
that was a little
hilariously
weird.
bad.
That was just
It's like
wasted
Zelda
time
1.
for no reason.
It's like Zelda 1 pushing a block instead. You have to go more south to activate a switch. There's no enemies in there. And then you run back into the door.
I think that one or the Link Between Worlds one was worse than Zelda 1, because at least you can be like, you could easily be like, all right, what do I do in this room? Oh, I see some things to push. Okay, I'll just push it and go. Versus walk.
There's a
forward,
switch. It
press
even
button,
says like
go back.
Well, I still think that the puzzles in this game
I'm-
overall are better.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
not
not
disagreeing.
saying
I'm
that.
not disagreeing. I was just pointing out a funny one.
I'm not gonna say that these are the best puzzles in the game, the most complicated. I think that the game that has the best puzzles is probably gonna go to Ages, but I mean this one just is kind of easy overall.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean it still has fun little puzzles. That's kind of what the dungeons are made of, like the Wind one where you have to, travel with the fans or whatever.
I feel like they did a lot with puzzles and were good with what they had. Although I will actually, it was a bit annoying to have puzzles solved for you because of either what items you need in the dungeon, or also bombs will point out.
Wait,
Like bomb monsters will point out.
where's the
when you
dark?
need bombs.
Yeah.
Do you remember the Dark World, Dark Forest,
Mhm.
where it was like the maze thing, but it shows you the end,
Yeah.
basically? And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. It could have not showed you the end, but
Whatever.
it was weird.
All right, puzzles are gonna be a 6 for me. It was just
5 for me.
So
kind of easy but fun little puzzles that kind of made up what the dungeons were.
Yeah.
Alrighty, now moving on to the enemies and bosses of this game. So
It's gonna be a hard one.
it is.
There
It is
are a
little
lot
fun.
of bosses because there's a lot of dungeons.
But there's also reuses of some bosses in other games too. So not
Right.
newer content, but just remaking a thing that was exactly the same.
But it keeps it like with A Link to the Past, you could beat the bosses in different ways, like
Mhm.
some of them, and this one kind of brings that back where, like, the boss in the Dark Palace, like I'm trying to think of, I don't know what it's called, but it's kind of like the dude with the huge mask that in this one, he's like covered in rupees, so you can like you can blow him up with bombs. You can use your hammer.
You can't use
We
your
can't
hammer.
use your hammer.
You can't
we
use the
tried,
hammer?
yeah.
We tried.
Oh, so you have to use bombs?
Yep.
Oh, well,
You were wrong.
You are
whatever. Still,
Because I thought it was hammer. We
didn't know what it was, and then we're just like, oh, let's just try some bombs. Oh, that's what you need? Who would have thought?
Yeah,
Right.
because in Link to the Past, you could use your hammer, and
Okay.
then we tried that. Did not work.
I guess I thought you could use the hammer, but I just went with using bombs. So I guess I didn't test that out. But anyways, it still introduces some new fun bosses, like the one that has the shield that you have to merge yourself onto, and then
That
he's
one's
like,
I think that's the
really
only
the
better
only
boss that is
And then
from Link to
I
the
think it's
Past
better because it
compared to Link
like uses wall merging, whereas a lot of them just didn't
Or
didn't
weren't
help in
as
great
good.
ways. My least favorite one so far, or the least favorite boss, would probably be the hand boss,
Oh yeah.
the wall
I mean, that
master,
one
just because
you
it's
use wall merging.
you do.
right?
with
No,
that
you don't
one.
have to.
Well,
You don't have to at all.
when he rams his hand into
Yeah,
the
you
wall.
can just dodge it. It's very
Alright,
simple.
fine.
but I
It's
will say
easier to
the
merge.
reason why I hate this so much, is almost like they were just like, let's just have a dumb stampeding minotaur boss that just hits the wall and gets damaged. Like they didn't do anything too interesting with it.
And then I don't really think they really had any mini bosses in the dungeons that.
Not really.
Because when you got
the
the
jelly,
dun-
the jellyfish in the
temple.
water dungeon that like moves so slow that it's such a joke.
Yeah,
It was okay. Probably it's just like
It's
a
the
bigger
yellow.
Oh, I know what you're talking
one.
about.
Yeah,
bigger,
so it was
wasn't there
kind of
two?
funny when
Oh,
we went into it. After we
Oh.
killed it, there was like the light that brings you up there. But for some reason, a platform rises, which
for no reason.
yeah, for no reason they could
whatsoever.
left the
For you to get onto the light to bring you back to the
yeah,
front.
but no
For
reason.
no reason.
made a platform that goes up.
Which isn't about bosses, but that was just something fun.
Yeah, I just thought it was
so there weren't too many mini bosses. The enemies are only they didn't
Decent.
improve upon them too much compared to Link to the Past, but they're okay. They're okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna have to give it a 6.
A 5.
A 5.
They were, I don't know, it's not too complicated, but
The game does still, I think we said.
Yeah.
you two said 5.
Yeah.
Yep.
Alright, so now we're going to move on to the gimmick of the game, which is going to be wall merging and then buying or renting items.
One's really good, and one's bleh.
Wall merging is so fun. I think
Yeah.
it just, like, whoever came up with it deserves a promotion, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it's, I think somewhere someone said, it's just like jumping. It's so, like, intuitive
Natural.
and natural.
Mhm. Renting items.
Not so
No,
good.
No,
So silly.
they should get a demotion.
I'm not going to say I would
I think-
prefer it that way, but I still think it's better like than
Getting them in a dungeon.
items in like Breath of the Wild. I'd rather have to, get punished by dying and having to spend rupees for once in a Zelda game, and then working your way up, saving to buy them so you don't have to rent them again. It just kind of...
But now it's just all about grinding then. That game's about grinding.
I never felt like I was grinding once. Because you could always rent them for cheap, but then
But
once
if
you found
feel
yourself
like,
with
oh,
enough money...
I don't want to do this no more, I'll just grind the rest and get all the items.
Well, then I guess that's your choice, but it's not something you have to do. Because
I
it
will
gives
say-
you the option to rent.
But here's the thing, like, I wish this game was a lot more like the first, where it's open, and you kind of you choose it. It seems like it's open with like the item grinding or item buying. It makes you want to seem open, but I feel like it really hurts it more. You don't actually get better by exploring. You just rent what you need to explore this tiny little area,
Right.
and then it's not anything interesting.
And then I guess
You don't feel more powerful.
Right. And then I guess I do wish that they would have done a little bit more with the wall merging, because like it kind of makes me think about like Mario Odyssey, where you can enter like the
feel like you
tubes
should give
and
it a
then
bit
play
more
like
just 'cause of the
2D
wall
Mario.
Not that.
It makes me think of like the
Mario Odyssey, yeah, I see
Mario
what you
Odyssey,
mean.
where
But
you
they
can
could
play
have had
2D.
a little bit more of the wall merging.
Right.
But honestly, it wasn't.
It makes me almost wish they would have had segments where it was kind of like Zelda 2, bring that back a little bit. Just like paintings and then fighting like these paintings of like, Zelda 2 type enemies, stuff like that. That would be pretty cool.
Awesome.
Having a boss besides the Ganon fight, where you actually fight an enemy on the wall. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they could have done more.
They could have done more, but it's still a fun mechanic used for puzzle solving. It's just the items is a little controversial.
Oh, we didn't even
with
say it
how
out
they
loud. Six, 7.
Six.
It's a little controversial. Oh my gosh.
Controversial.
Controversial.
So it really depends on who you are, whether or not you like the item buying / renting. Kind of hurts the dungeons a little bit, but I don't know. Alright, now we're going to move on to the pacing of the game. So it doesn't have quite as slow of a start as, let's say, Twilight Princess or Skyward Sword, but it makes you do something to start off with instead of going adventuring right away, which is different than
Bad.
what
It wouldn't
A
be
Link to
too
the Past
bad.
does.
It wouldn't be too bad to have you do something at first if it was at least a little bit more open. Like in Breath of the Wild, you have this. You're stuck on this great plateau, but you're at least stuck
in a
on
big area.
Still a big area,
Yeah.
a decent size explorable area.
So that being open, they did that well. And
With
then
what?
Breath of the Wild with the
Okay.
pacing, how like obviously you're not opened up to the entire world, but still like this open world that's filled and is like bigger than most other like Zelda games, even entire worlds. But and then when you look at like A Link to the Past, which has a more linear start, it's better like because of just it feels more adventurous than the A Link Between Worlds start, where it's like, go deliver this sword to a soldier. I mean, it's not horrible. It's just like
I think no, but like the fact that they have to constantly stop you.
Yeah.
Is a
Kinda
little
got
horrible.
really irritated.
You have to do the bird to save. You have to follow the kid along this direct path. Why not just start at the shop, you know? They
Sure.
wanted you to move around, but only to get to the shop.
And I tried to, when I first played it, go like a different direction. The kid says, "Oh no, you need to go this direction." And I'm like, "Okay, go." And then I tried it multiple times to see if I could just frame the realm, or do I have to keep on following it to the boy.
But it's like it's almost like, but it was more so like constantly. All right, move along. Watch this cutscene. Move along.
Yeah,
Watch this cutscene.
that.
Go to the church. Watch this cutscene. Go to
right.
go to Shar Ashala. Watch this cutscene. Go to
That's still
Eastern
a
Palace,
shorter.
Watch this cutscene.
All right.
Go to Zelda. Watch this cutscene. Go to the Ravio. Watch this cutscene.
Still a shorter intro than the Twilight Princess.
I don't think
But-
so. Because if you count
Really?
the intro being everything you do up until the first dungeon,
Absolutely
have-
way shorter than.
probably a little bit shorter, but still,
I would say like
you still have to do
maybe
a lot
an
of
hour and a half
cutscene
shorter.
beforehand. Do you know what I mean, Nick?
well, just wait until you do the Twilight
Not
Princess
only that,
intro.
but when we're talking about pacing, there's so many times when you just randomly go into the dark world, and then there's either sometimes a cutscene of
the
Hilda
princess,
talking
yeah.
to herself, or she's talking to you. It's like, did you know you're in low roll? And then
Alright, but I think at those little parts it's kind of nitpicking. But other than
But I don't want
other
to be
than
stopped.
other than the intro and those little nitpick things,
Every
the
dungeon-
game is very like open with
It's
like
not-
the options of like what dungeons you go to and when. Like it definitely feels like awesome, kind of like the first Zelda game where you get to kind of choose your path, like what dungeons you want to do first. Like in the overworld, there's only one dungeon that you have to do like a previous one in order to enter it. Other than that, it's just like open free game. Like you get to choose. Like when I did the master mode, I wanted to go get that blue tunic first. So then I went to the Swamp Palace because I didn't want to like get completely murdered because I was playing hero mode. I got one shot and I had 8 hearts. And so I decided I wanted to go and get that blue tunic so that I would take half the damage. And so I was able to go to that dungeon in order to get the item. So it felt really nice to be able to choose where to go first, because when you know what the rewards are at those dungeons, it feels nice to just be able to choose, the order of what you want to get, whether it's master ore for your sword, an upgrade to your energy bar. I don't know what that was called. What
It was
other-
just a stamina meter, just like in Skyward Sword.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, that was pretty good. I do really appreciate just how open it is. Even like the 2 dungeons after the Eastern Palace, you also get to choose what order you want to do those 2. So it's a pretty open game other than the intro and the...
Middle and then the end.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess we have very different opinions on that. So I'm going to give it a 7 just because I think it's
Two,
pretty
3.
open. I guess these two think it's
I
pretty
guess Matt
linear
thinks it's
road
really
bumps.
open. It's like Breath of the Wild. Yeah.
All right. I definitely disagree with that score. You guys are like scoring this like lower than the Minish Cap.
Actually, no.
I don't think so. I think we're
Yeah.
doing higher than Minish
Yeah, we
Cap.
still are doing higher than Minish Cap.
Look at all those 9s, 5s, and 6s. Look at all these 3s and 4s.
And guess what? Your lowest is a 5.
Yeah, I
That's
said this is an
stupid.
average game. 6s and...
You said barely higher than the Minish Cap. You're ranking it as in...
You guys said it's barely higher than the Minish Cap. I said it fits between the first and second game that we play in the series.
Probably. I feel like it is just because of... It does have those open aspects. Which Minish Cap is not.
True, but...
Alright, now moving on to the bonus content in the game. So, there are the little Mai-Mais that you can collect throughout the overworld in order to upgrade each of your items that you choose to buy. So, that's some pretty... I thought, like, it's not, like, the craziest upgrades, but it's still nice. Still rewarding to, like, work up to get 10 more Mai-Mais and be able to upgrade your bow to, like, a triple shot bow and arrow or a hook shot that shoots faster. I don't know if it extends longer, but I know it does shoot faster. Stuns, enemies. And then a fire rod instead of, like, this little this little fireball. It's like a huge tornado of fire. I don't know.
Then you converse up in Death Mountain area.
Oh yeah, the little gauntlet of enemies.
Yeah. And then you
That's
also
pretty
have
fun.
Old Man.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Probably not a lot of people know this. I don't know, but there's like the street pass. Where you walk by someone else that has the game, and then you get to fight their Shadow Link. So however far they are in the game, you get to fight them with whatever equipment that they have. So you get to fight like a Link with, a level 2 sword with a blue tunic or whatever with a fire rod. Just like multiple combinations. And then it just has like a list of achievements that you can complete. And then once you complete all of them, then you get to fight the old man, which there's a theory behind him, which I'm not going to go too deep into.
There's also there's a few little mini dungeon puzzles in a way that gives you rupees at the end.
Right. And there's that
Monster
chicken,
parts.
The chicken part, the cuckoo, whatever mini game, which you avoid getting hit by the chickens,
Mm-hmm.
It almost like the Ganon fight almost reminded me of that a little bit, where there's this part where it has like these little swirly things like chasing you a little bit, like being shot at you. I was like, this is just like the Kuko game. So doing this Kuko mini game prepared me to fight Ganon, which I thought was kind of funny. A little bit. I guess that's not funny to you.
Huh.
And then after you complete the game, there's hero mode, which is just like a harder version. You take twice the damage. I don't really think it adds anything new like the second quest in the first Zelda game, but still fun to challenge yourself. And then there's a few rupee collecting mini games, a few hidden.
Which I think they should have had
Challenges.
heart pieces instead, to be honest, for some of them. Some of them were pretty long, and then you get 100 rupees.
Instead of 300.
Instead of 300, which would make it more worth it. Because you need to buy the items in order to do anything.
Right. There's a lot of mini games, but there isn't like bonus dungeons really. Just a lot of mini games.
Not a dungeon or bonus dungeons in any Zelda game.
Well, I mean, you could say all the second quest dungeons in Zelda 1, the color dungeon from Link's Awakening, all the dungeons in Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
Alright, I'm going to have to give A Link's Awakening a 7 on
7
bonus
as well.
content.
I'll give it an 8.
It has a good amount of mini games, honestly, little challenges and whatnot to test your skills and get your ass ready for that Ganon fight,
Which isn't too hard.
which isn't too hard unless you're doing hero mode. Alright.
Alright, looks
Sorry,
like
do
let's
the
do
math.
our calculations. See, better than match.
Yeah.
56. Alrighty. Alright. We have now tallied up the scores. So, our average score for A Link Between Worlds is going to be a 56 out of 100 points.
Which
So-
is a fail.
57. We'll give. Was it
56.
rounded up to 57?
No,
Was
it's
I wrong?
55.6.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
It was
56.
rounded up.
Alright, so that's going to be 7 points above the Minish Cap. So on our scale, pretty much that's going to be a slightly above average Zelda game so far
Mm-hmm.
with our
Okay.
3 games.
Like, this game
So-
isn't the worst game
Yeah,
in
it's
the
not
world,
the
but,
worst.
there are some flaws.
There are some
That are
flaws
pretty
that
glaring.
we can, nitpick at, but overall it's a fun experience, I thought. You're saying this is not a fun game.
What?
You're saying this is not a fun game.
I'm saying between this and Minish Cap, I know
I would rather play Minish
which one
Cap.
I'd play again.
Yeah.
Really? You'd rather play the Minish Cap over A Link Between Worlds?
Yeah.
I honestly forgot about the Minish Cap. And I asked for A Link Between Worlds for, Christmas or whatever because I wanted to play it again. But
Alright, wait, who's going next?
I don't remember.
Well,
I don't think it's
Oh, I think
me.
I drew A Link Between Worlds.
I think it's me.
Yeah. Alright, so now we have completed 3 scorings or reviews for Zelda games. So that means we have 16 titles left. Let's see what the next one is.
Ooh.
Oh.
The Wind Waker. That's a pretty big one, I would
Yeah.
say. Big, title since it was a console release. Kind of a controversial
I like it.
release when it first came out. I would say that this game has some of the best music, best art style, best art atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we'll just have to find out if the content actually holds up today.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
I guess we'll find
My
out.
prediction, better than Link Between Worlds and Minish Cap.
Yeah. Same here.
Personally, I think it's a worse game than A Link Between Worlds, but
I guess we'll see.
I guess we'll
Guess
have
we'll
to
find
find
out.
out where it scores.
Alright, thanks so much for watching, you guys.
Yep.
Yep. See you later.